I did 4.
Oh, you did 4.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
I couldn't narrow it down to 3 or else it'd be
No,
sentences too
that's
long.
fine. It could be 4. So I would just want to make sure I got them clear. Them. But before we do that, I want you to talk a little bit about, because I know you've done some like leadership camps. You've done, and I know that's a lot in your wheelhouse. You love that topic. You love talking about it. So for you as a coach, and you can take this however you want, like whether it's coaching players, parents, however you want to take it. When you think about leadership as it would apply to, let's say, sport, but it would apply to life the same way. What are kind of like your principles, or how do you think about leadership, or kind of what is the main kind of few things that you like to talk about or like to emphasize when you're talking about leadership stuff?
Yeah, well, first of all, like number 1 would be yourself. That's be true to yourself and be yourself. And I think it's important to understand that because a lot of times people feel like leadership means something other than what they are. And you can lead without being the leader. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
for
You
sure.
can lead without being the leader, but you have to lead yourself. So that's number 1 is be true to yourself and true to who you are and what you're all about. And then within that, because we're talking team or mission, we're doing that. So like in order to be true to your beliefs, like you have to have a mission that's aligned with that. So like in hockey, you have different types of missions or goals, right? It's winning, it's developing, it's creating good people, and it could be all of those or one of those things. But the number 1 thing for me is to be true to yourself because there's something about being authentic, right? Because if you're a quiet person, and I don't know Joe Sakic, maybe that's the worst example because he's a lot older than a lot of the kids now, but the parents would understand that. He didn't appear to be a really loud person, but he was a leader. His and I'll explain why that is after. So you don't, but for him, if you get the C on your jersey, that doesn't make you have to be a raw guy, right? So, but then, and also, it's a leader. You lead yourself. Like you can't lead other people until you can lead yourself. So, in your whatever role that you are in a team, whether it's a coach, maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a manager, maybe it's a player, you have to be able to lead yourself, and that means be true to yourself and do what you do best. That would be my number 1.
Hmm.
And when we talk about leadership, I mean, there's so many different aspects of it.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
could
for
flip
sure.
flop and change
Yeah.
based on a lot of different things. But these are values that I really believe in. Like for me, running the business or coaching teams, it's if I try to be, um, I am what I am, and if I try to be something else, it doesn't work. So that's why it's very important to be yourself. People see through if you're not. So that's number 1. Number 2, that's more of a statement than a headline, but it's actions speak. Talk is cheap and actions speak. So my thing with this is raw, like we just said. If you're always the guy yapping, but you don't do the thing, then you're useless, right? So for me, do the thing, do your thing the best that you can, and whether your thing is the most important thing on the team or it seems like a minor role, do it to the best of your ability. Like do it, don't talk about it, do it, and understand that what your contribution to the team is actually very important. So what I mean by that is if you're like the number 1 guy on the team, top D, top whatever, top forward, top scorer, whatever, like that's your job. That's do it to the best of your ability. But you might be a 4th line checker or a shutdown D, but that's critical. Do your job. Don't try to step out of it too much. Um, don't talk about how great you're going to be. Do your job. Like the checker that doesn't get scored on, that's hard to play against. That's leadership in its own. Right. The second and the third thing would be do your thing unselfishly, which I think is very important, with the intention of making a contribution to the team goal. So, example would be like unselfishly just simply means like maybe you are the best player on the team, but your coach puts you on the second line and the second unit of the power play for whatever reason, and you unselfishly do it and you do your job and you just do your job quietly, but you do it through actions. I think that's very important to accept, not accept roles, but to do the things that you might have to sacrifice to make your team better. If does that make sense? Okay, so like it's Maybe it's you're the best player on the team that can score goals, but coach wants you to play penalty kill rather than power play. It's like, okay, let's go. For the betterment of the team. You're always looking from the team aspect. That's what makes a leadership. It's not about your individual goals all the time. And then the last thing I would say about leadership is be consistent in what you're doing all the time.
Oh, that's a good one.
Being very, very
Yeah.
consistent, because you there's a lot of fake leaders out there. Leaders are people can do their thing when things are going well. It's when they're not going necessarily well or perfect is where you see the leadership actually step up. So that could mean because you don't know how to deal with pressure, or you buckle under pressure, and that means leadership's lost. So understanding that leadership is being consistent day in and day out in your preparation, in your play, in your coaching, or whatever it is. It's just being very consistent so that you know what you're getting day in and day out. And to me, that's a big thing, because when challenges come, that's the test of leadership right there. So when your team is winning and everything is going your way, as let's say you're the top guy on your team and things are going well and you got good line mates, and that's great. It's happy and everybody likes to do it. But let's put you in a role where our team needs you in a different situation. Are you consistently going to lead and do your thing, or are you going to pout? And that's a huge thing to me.
Right. Man, there's so much there to yap about. Um, I mean, I have a lot of rebuttals, but I want to, because a lot of them, while you're talking, I was seeing where they fit into each of the things we're going to talk about more after. So I think I'm gonna hold off on my reply until then. But so just kind of summarize. So your first one was be yourself or be true to yourself. Then your second one was actions speak, and then your third one was being consistent,
Unselfish, being unselfish about your doing your thing,
unselfish.
and then consistency. I did
Oh,
four.
you did four.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
sorry.
couldn't I couldn't narrow it down to three, or else it'd be
No,
sentences
that's
too
that's
long.
fine. It could be four. So I would just want to make sure I got them clear. So it's be true to yourself. Second one was action speak. Third one was being unselfish, and then fourth one was consistency with your team. Those are great, and those slide nicely into this. So